What's up guys, Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. This is going to be the last tournament that you have to suffer through watching me play. It is October 31st, Halloween right now, and we're playing the Thursday 12 o'clock, 12 p.m. 5K guarantee, $160 buy-in, and it's the last one we're gonna play. Thank you for sticking along around this tournament, adventure, and bender that we've been going on. It was a good change of pace. We're gonna play this one. Hopefully we can cash in it. And we're gonna move on to going back to the cash game grind later on in the next video and next month, starting November, so starting tomorrow. Encore has some pretty ridiculous high hands payouts for basically the whole month of November on the weekdays. It's a 1K, a $1,000 like bonus every high hand for every 20 minutes. So you're giving out 3K an hour for like 10 hours a day. So we're gonna be doing that. Yeah, so tournament's already started. We're gonna go and play, keep you guys updated, see what's going on. And anyways, thanks for following along. Let's get into some hands. First hand that we're gonna go over, we are in level 2, and we look down at ace-4 of diamonds in the cutoff with a starting stack of 20K. On the gun player limps, there's 2 other limpers, I limp. End of the story, it's a 6-way limps pot. So we're gonna go to a flop multi-way. These are always interesting and fun. Flop is ace high, it's ace 10, 8, 2 hearts out there, and on the gun player leads out for 1100. Pretty big sizing, but obviously I just can't fold my pair of aces here just yet, so I decided to call, and we're the only caller, so eliminate the field. We're going heads up to a turn. The turn is the 4 of clubs, bringing us top and bottom pair, so pretty awesome turn for us. He once again bets and leads for 3K. Right now, I'm just gonna flat. It's such a big sizing, and here, you know, I'm comfortable with it. Let's call and get some more value on the river, so that's exactly what we do. We call, and the river is the 7 of clubs, so the heart draw does brick out. He checks, and it's a mandatory bet here, obviously gonna go for some value. I go for a sizing of 6,500. He tanks for like a minute-ish, and ends up making the call. I show, expecting to be good here a lot of the time, and he shows over ace 10. So that's unfortunate. One of the first hands, we are crippled. Stack is down to 8K now. Next spot, we are in level 4, and we look down at pocket kings in the big blind with just under a 10K stack. There's 2 limpers to me, and I raise things up to 1200, and only one of the players call. He's in the small blind, so we actually found ourselves in position. The flop is not ideal though. The flop comes ace 3, 4 rainbow, so obviously just like the card I don't want to see. He checks to me, and here pocket kings, pocket controlling here. Let's just check and try to get to some showdown or something. So we're gonna go to a turn, which is the 7 of diamonds, bringing in the backdoor flush draw. He bets 700, and with the backdoor flush draw there, he could be drawing a lot of the time, could be bluffing, could be betting some stuff that we beat. So I decided to just call here the 700, and we're gonna go to a river. The river is not really the most ideal card in the world. It's the 8 of diamonds. I do have the king of diamonds to block some draws, but he once again bets 2,000, and here so early in the tournament, I think I just have to call here in this spot. That's what I do. I call the 2K, and I mean, just knowing that I'm really bluff catching, and luckily we do beat one of the hands that he was betting with. He has king 10 offsuit for king high, and we take that one down with our pair of kings. Following that now, we are up to level 5, chipped up just a little bit I think, and we look down at ace 10 offsuit in middle position here with 16K. There's 2 very active players to my right. They decide to limp in. I'm gonna raise things up to 1,500, and we get a button who cold calls, and the player to my right also makes the call. So we're going 3 ways to a flop in middle position here. The flop is pretty good for us. It's 10, 8, 4, 2 diamonds out there, so top on this flop. And when the action checks to me, just going to have to bet for value, charge draws, charge whatever, and definitely willing to get it in on this flop. I bet 2,500. The button, who is a pretty big stack, makes the call, so we're gonna get some action, and we get a little bit more action when the early position player jams 10.5K. Awesome, we love to see that. Like I said, it's pretty much a nutted board for us. So when he jams here, he's gotta be on the flush draw a lot of the time, or you know, weaker tens. So I decided to rejam the rest of my stack. It's about 14.5K. The button thinks for a little bit, but ends up folding. So here, let's see what we're up against. He flips over queen 9 of diamonds. So we just gotta hold, fade some diamonds and the gutter ball that he's got over there. So let's try to hold. Turn gives some immediate help. It's a jack of clubs, so we are automatically dead, unfortunately. The river is the 8 of clubs. It's irrelevant, so he takes that one down, and I am left with a stack of exactly 4,000 chips. So we are crippled here really early into this tournament. With 4K and having about 10 bigs, we just go to a shove fest. It's kind of what we have to do. We look down at ace-7 offsuit, under the gun, we jam, and they fold. The very next hand in the big blind, we looked at ace-7 offsuit once again. And there's 3 limpers to me, and we picked up additional chips because of the blinds from the previous hand. So, once again, sticking with the plan, let's just go ahead and jam. And now, with the 3 limpers, we get additional more chips because none of them call, they fold, and now we chipped back up to 6K, which is pretty nice. 2 hands later, after ace-7, we looked at ace-8 offsuit, so a little bit of an improvement. So we're gonna go, and we're on the button. We jam over 2 limpers. We've jammed 3 times in 4 hands. And once again, over those 2 limpers, they also fold. So we are chipping and crawling back to accumulate some chips here. And guess what? The very next hand, we get something playable again. We have pocket 3s in the cutoff.
I guess 68, however much it was after the blind.
Here sitting with 7,800 total chips. There's a limper to me, and like I said, we're slightly improving. We're getting better. We're from ace-7 to ace-7, and then ace-8. Now we pocket 3s. It's improvement. So with pocket 3s, we're gonna jam once again 7,800. I'm not really trying to survive right now. We're just trying to accumulate and double up and see what happens. So I go ahead and jam, and the limper has none of it. He decides to call after my shenanigans of jamming, and we've got a flip. Pocket 3s against, he has ace-7, lucky enough. So the flop and the runouts is pretty clean for us. The flop comes king, queen, 5, turns and rivers, 4 and a 3, so we end up rivering a set, and we double up. So pretty amazing run for us, jamming the last 4 out of the 5 hands. Next spot in level 6, we pick up pocket kings, we raise over a limper, and we c-bet on a pretty dry flop, and we take it down, so that's pretty cool. I mentioned that because the very next hand, we have pocket 4s in the hijack. We're being very, very active, and we open it up to 1,700, and we get a player to my left on the cutoff. He decides to make the call, so we're gonna go heads up to a flop, and the flop is okay. It's 7-4 deuce, 2 diamonds out there, so we're running pretty well, picking up cards, picking up hands. And here with middle set, I'm just gonna bet here, just gotta go for it. I bet 2,200, and without too much thinking, he just goes ahead and rips in his entire stack of about 18K, and at this point, we've chipped up enough where we cover him. So we snap call with middle set, and he's not happy with it. He flips over king jack offsuit, so he's basically dead. He's got the king of diamonds, so might need to go runner diamonds here. The runouts is a 10 offsuit, so once again he's immediately dead, and the river is the ace of diamonds. So cool beans there. We have chipped all the way back up to about 40K. We made it to break number 1. I don't know what just happened. We won on the fattest heater ever, boys. Oh my god. That was crazy. We were running so bad, and then we literally played like 8 hands in a row. We played 7 out of the 8 hands that you went over, literally all in succession. Jammed ace-7 twice, then jammed ace-8. Thank god we got folds. And then we got pocket 3s that we doubled up on, and then we doubled up with, then we got pocket kings, c-bet on a really great flop for us, and then we double up on pocket 4s, flop set, and he just kind of gave me his money. Anyways, that's insane. We're sitting at around 37K right now. We had 4K at the lowest end. We literally had 10 big blinds, and now we're at 37K. Tournaments are wild. This is why we play them. So we're sitting pretty decent. This is now this is the part of the tournament where I struggle the most. I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to playing these kind of middle of the tournament like kind of scenarios where everyone's pretty average stacked, and you gotta play smart and not punt. So going to try to navigate around that, probably just try to play for value as always. Things aren't really gonna change. I think the best way is just to play very tight and aggressive and see how things go from there. So anyways, this is the part of the tournament where I really suck at though, getting from here until being in the money after this, because late reg is ending, and I'm gonna see how things go. Maybe we can keep things up. Maybe we can actually find a cash in this one. But anyways, let's get back into it and let's get back into some hands. After the break, level 7, we pick up a hand, ace jack offsuit in middle position. We raise, pre-flop, get 2 callers, flop ace high board, c-bet, and no callers. So we take it down, we chip back once again. And the next hand in level 7, we have queen jack of diamonds in early position. Under the gun player limps. The player to my right raises to 2,400. I haven't really seen him raise a whole lot this time. So here, as much as though I would probably 3-bet this in a cash game, let's just play this one and see what happens. We have such a strong hand that can play pretty well post flop. So we call the 2,400 and it folds to the small blind player who goes ahead and jams his stack of 19.9K. The previous hand right before this, he jammed 2-3 of hearts, the value hand right before this. So here I just know he can jam super light, and early position player tank folds and actions onto me. Here with queen jack, I don't think I'm necessarily ahead a lot of the time. I think I could be flipping with smaller pairs. I certainly could be flipping with 2 overcards. There's a lot that I really thought about, but considering the fact that his jamming range is just wider than average, I decided to go ahead and gamble here. Let's make the call. We have about 40K. We can certainly surrender half of our chips, but I think we have 2 very live cards that, you know, let's just call against a super wide range. So we put the chips in there, and he has ace jack offsuit, so we did not make a good decision in this spot. This was very bad. But the flop comes queen king 7, all clubs. He does the ace of clubs, so we hit our 3 outs basically, which is disgusting. But we still got to fade a few cards. We got 2 aces to fade, or 3 aces to fade, and a bunch of clubs. The runout is luckily clean, and we stack him, suck out their city. Very lucky for us to do that. Obviously a horrendous call by us with queen jack of diamonds, but I just didn't want to let it go. I felt like gambling in that spot, and we take it down. Level 8 now, blinds are 5K, 1K, 1K, sitting a pretty decent stack, very much above chip average. So we go ahead and raise things up to 3,500 with ace 10 suited over a limper, and a small smack button player decides to go ahead and jam it all in about 6, 7K, somewhere around that range. Folds all the way to me, obviously just never folding to such a small stack, and obviously with a pretty good hand as well. So we call. We're up against king 8 offsuit, so we're looking pretty good. The flop comes ace high, we stack them, we chip back up. Level 9 now, progressing up here, we have king jack offsuit in the small blind, and an active hijack player decides to limp. Here in the small blind, I'm just going to complete here, out of position with king jack. Pretty vulnerable, exploitable hand, not really that great. So I just call, and the big blind jams about 16K. Hijack folds and actions onto me here. Here I decide to call because he's just been super aggressive, and I know he 1,000,000% is jamming light here. So here I call. I definitely defend it with king jack. It's pretty good. And we're gonna go and see what we're up against. He has queen 10 offsuit, so basically a huge flip for us. Let's see if we can hold or just win something. Flop is king high, it's king 7-3, so right off the bat we're looking amazing. Awesome flop for us against queen 10. The run out, the turn is a 6, the river is a queen, so we stack him, and things are doing pretty well for us. The next spot, still in level 9, we have king queen of diamonds in the big blind. The button open limps. He's extremely active and also very passive. He hasn't been raising pretty much at all, but just limping in with a bunch of strong and horrible hands. The small blind also limps, and he's a very short stacked player. He has about 10K in front of him. So here I'm just going to put the squeeze on with a pretty strong hand as well. Mainly just trying to ISO out the small blind player because he only has 10K, it doesn't really matter. I raised to 6K. And the button calls, didn't really like him calling, and the small blind now jams for 10.5K total. When he jams, this is exactly what I want to do, and sticking to my plan, let's just try to ISO and put some pressure onto the button, because he really can't defend a whole lot. He only has about 20,000 effective, so here with such a big stack, we can absolutely just jam ISO and see what happens. So that's exactly what I do. I just rejam, and he snap calls, which is a horrible sign. Horrible, horrible, horrible sign. we're up against pocket fives. Small blind is pocket fives, and that's what we're playing against for the main pot. And the side pot, we're up against ace 10 suited. So we are really loving that situation, and the flop comes king jack 5, 2 hearts out there. Small blind flops bottom set. He is looking pretty good. Looks like he's gonna scoop up that big main pot there. But we still gotta fade some out. There's only 3 queens left in there and 3 aces, so we gotta fade some 6 out. The turn is the 4 of hearts, and the river is the 3 of clubs. So we win the side pot against ace 10. We stack him there, but the player in the small blind triples up to a pretty healthy stack of 30K. At the end of the day, we ended up breaking even, and small blind tripled up, so that's not too bad there. I like my re-ISO jam with king queen. I think I just do that all the time. It's just unfortunate that we were up against ace 10 and he kind of found a call. But that's just what happened. Level 10, we look down at pocket aces on the button. We're picking up cards right now. The player to my right opens to 6K. Same player to my right, he has about 25, 30K total. I'm not entirely sure. But the main thing is that I haven't seen him raise pre like ever. So when he raises pre, it just knows that he has a pretty good hand. So I decided to 3-bet him on the bigger side to 25K. I just want to get it all in pre, obviously. And I know that if he's sitting with a pretty good hand, he's going to have to go with it. And let's just see what happens. All the other players fold, and he jams, sticking to the plan. It was awesome. I call. We're up against pocket 10s. The run out comes queen 5, 6, king 4. 4 diamonds out there. None of us have a diamond, and we luckily take it down. We stack them, and we're up to over 100K. Next spot we get ourselves involved in, we're at level 11, and on the gun player just leads out and jams 18.3K. It folds all the way back to me. It looked like I have king 10 of spades here. It's such a weird spot. Obviously, I'm such a huge stack, and 9 bigs is really insignificant to me, and the fact that I can have the opportunity to call and eliminate another player is pretty huge. I leaned more towards a call. I thought about it for like a minute or two, honestly, and contemplated, ended up just making the call with king 10. It's a kind of a coin flip. I think I'm coin flipping at best, or at worst, I'm up against ace high, and I have to hit some of my outs. So I decided to just stick the money in there. I call, the button folds, the big blind folds, and we're up against ace jack offsuit. So one of those spots where I kind of knew I was probably behind, but here with the opportunity to eliminate him, I thought that made sense, and I can easily take an 18K hit, not a big deal. So we're up against ace jack, so let's see what the run is. The flop comes 8, 8, 6, pretty good flop for him. He hits an ace on the turn, and he doubles up there. We take a hit, but I just thought pre-flop there, I think I could call, especially since I'm so deep. But with that hit, we're down to 96K in our stack, and the average chip stack is still 53K, so we definitely could have afforded that hit. Still in the same level, pocket aces, under the gun +1. Under the gun player jams 12.1K. And action onto me. All right, nice, we got some action. Here, I just decided to flat, inducing more action later. I am very, very early, which is a weird spot for me. I thought about raising or trying to min click that to 24K, but at the end of the day, just wanted to flat because it's such a big open, obviously, and people aren't calling unless they're at the top of their range anyways. So I decided to just call the big blind, folds all the way back to the big blind, and he calls as well. So we've got some action, and let's try to build a side pot. The flop is really safe for us. It's king 8-4 rainbow, super dry flop, and he checks to me. Here, just gonna bet super tiny, trying to get his entire range to call. Even a hand like pocket queens might have to call the 15K here. So he tanks for a long, long time and ends up folding. So we don't build a side pot, but let's see what we're up against. We're up against king queens, so we're looking really, really good. The turn is a queen. The river is no help, it's a 6. So we immediately lose that one, unfortunately. Can't scoop it, and the other guy triples up, gets my aces cracked. Still in the same level, we're picking up some hands. We're in the small blind with ace jack offsuit. It folds all the way back to me, and here I decide to open raise to 6K, but the chip doesn't actually hold up. It's some weird 1 chip rule at Encore, where even if you have 2 chips out there, I put in a 5K chip on top of my 1K small blind. It only acted as a call. Very, very weird, didn't count as a raise. So I tried to raise, didn't work up as a raise. I didn't say anything because I was like, all right, if that's the rule, I'm not gonna like show my hand or anything like that. But It ends up being a call, and the big blind checks. So very interesting dynamics pre-flop there. So we're going to a flop which comes Jack, Deuce, 3, 2 spades out there. Awesome flop for us. Wish we could have raised. But here out of position, I just check on this super dry board, like the driest of dry boards. And I check. You know, there's really not a whole lot to do here. I can't really get much value, I don't think. And he bets for me. He bets 8K. Really big sizing. 8,000 chips. What are you doing? He's just trying to blow me off a hand that probably didn't connect on this dry board, I believe. Spots here, obviously, pretty nutted. I decide to call and let him just hang himself, essentially. The turn is the 7 of clubs. And once again, I check. Like I said, wanting to hang himself. We're pretty deep. He has a similar stack size, and he bets 20K again. Such a big sizing. And here at this point, when he bets such a big sizing like this, I think I just have to jam and rip it all in. I could just flat, but that's just a little too risky, I think. Let's just take control of the pot right now. If he has a hand that can call, let's do it, because I'm really not afraid of a whole lot. So I decide to go ahead and jam, and he almost snap folds, so it seems like he was definitely trying to bluff there. Pretty big sizings for bluffs, so we take it down there, and we got to extract a little extra value from him, it seems like, with that mistake. Alright guys, here in the parking garage for this break 2 mid-session update, I guess you could call it. We're in break number 2 right now. End of level 12, I believe, so we're going into level 13. I have 103K, average stack is around 75K, so we're basically there. There's 24 people left right now, top 9 make it in the money, so we just gotta make it to the final table. And yeah, let's just see what happens, guys. Aces getting cracked was not great, but that ace-jack hand right after helped a lot, and we're sitting right now. Let's just try to pick up some hands just to outlast and survive. Yeah, like I said, I don't really have much experience in the middle tournament levels and trying to navigate those, but I ran really hot, so that's one way to navigate it. So now navigating from close to being in the money, there's 3 tables right now, gotta break it into 1 table to make it in the money. Navigating around that is something that I have no idea how to do. But we're just gonna figure it out. I don't know, try to pick up some hands, we're gonna jam, hope that we, I don't know, hopefully we hold up, hopefully we get some folds and we jam. See what happens. I am not prepared, but it's not too bad. So 90 people, 90 total entrants. We're here. Up top, we're looking at 3,600, which would be nice. Min cash is around like 350, 360. So anyways, regardless, let's just get back in there and let's start playing. Let's go. Next spot we get ourselves involved in, we are at level 13. Blinds are 2K, 4K, 4K, and sitting with about 120K. Cutoff, open jams 29K, and it folds all the way back to me. And I have King 5 of diamonds in the big blind. That's unfortunate. What a weird spot in the big blind here. He only jammed 7 bigs, and with 120K, obviously, like, I can call here in this spot. I think this is more of a spot where I want to just jam and rip it in instead of calling a jam. But ultimately, I ended up calling. It seemed like a decent spot to call. He's in the cutoff. He might have a pretty wider range of jamming, obviously, and he's so short. So we call suited king. We're up against ace-8 offsuit. So he was jamming a little light, but still very much ahead. Let's try to win this one. The run out comes queen 7-6, 2 diamonds. Awesome. We've got the diamond draw and 2 live cards out. The turn is a queen, the river is the 3 of clubs. We do not improve, and he wins with ace high. He doubles up, and that's unfortunate for me. The next spot we get involved in, we have ace king offsuit under the gun with 68K in front of us. We're here at level 16, only with about 11 big blinds in front of us, and also there's about 14 players left. We've survived a good amount, and we're really close to the money. Top 9 get paid, and here we're playing 7-handed, playing short. We just got to go with it. Ace King's a really good hand to jam, so we open rip it, and it folds all the way back to the big blind, and we're honestly looking for a fold, and it's just so close. We're this close of getting through and picking up the blinds, but he decides to stick it in, with good reason, because we're up against aces. Yep, this is for our tournament life. Ace King versus aces, and he covers me by just a little bit, so we are not looking good at all. looking disgusting. We're ready to go home. This is unfortunate that we ran into this spot, but so be it. I had to jam ace king. So let's just go to a flop. The flop comes queen jack 4, 2 spades. No help really for us. The turn is a 7, and for our tournament life, we're just gonna see a river. Let's just try, pack things up, go home, unfortunately, and not make the money here. The river is a 10 of clubs. Oh my goodness. What a luck box. Thank you, Dawn. Shout out to you, Dawn. Dealer Dawn at Encore. You're the best. Yeah, we got there. Oh my God. If you guys followed me on Instagram, I was so hyped about this. This was disgusting of a beat. But we river the 4 outer, and we get Broadway, and we double up, and the other guy is kind of crippled to like 13K, and I'm sitting with about 150K, 160K, something like that. Bananas, bananas, bananas that we hit this. What a river card. We get the full double, we survive, and we are so much closer to the money after this. What an insane river. I can't believe I was on a great end of a bad beat there. This next spot, still in the same level, still around the bubble, the money. We're playing 6-handed, so there's only 12 players left. 9 make the money. We look down at ace 9 of spades in the big blind, and the cutoff opens to 15K. Folds all the way back to me, and I know he has a fairly tight range. He's been playing for value. He's been playing pretty well, and I decided to call with ace 9 suited. Obviously, it's especially in the big blind, we're kind of getting a discounted price here, so I call, and the flop comes 10, 8, 3, 2 spades out there. Really good flop for us, honestly. Really, really good flop. And here, I decided to check. He bets 15K, and this is a perfect spot for a check raise here as a semi-bluff, I guess. Definitely just gonna put him to the test, and if he does call this check raise, I'm just gonna have to jam on any turn if I improve or not. We do have backdoor straight opportunities. Obviously, they're not flush, and we have an over. So here, amazing flop for us to just check raise. So I raised to 50K, and he thinks for a little bit and ends up making the fold. So we take it down, happy to take it down with our draw, and it's really big for us because it seems like at this point, every single hand that you win, any chips that you can get accumulate and add to your stack is massive. All right, guys, break number 3, here we go. There's, I think, 10 people left now. One person just busted right before the break began, and let's go. We got one more person to bust and we're in the money, I think. Don't quote me on this, but that's what I'm thinking right now. They're gonna transfer someone over to my table, and let's freaking go, dude. That ace king hand, what a dirty suck out. That is so bad. Shout out to Dawn the dealer. You are a beast, you're a beast. Oh my goodness. So yeah, we're alive right now, and we're gonna see how it goes. We're gonna keep on playing well. Break is about to end pretty soon, so I'm gonna wrap this up, and yeah, I'm also starving. I'm so hungry right now. I haven't eaten at all today, besides like a nice little lunch, so I'm starving, and let's go. We can taste the money. Let's cash, and anything can happen on the final table, all right? Anything can absolutely happen. Stack sizes don't matter anymore on the final table, so let's just hold up one more spot. Let's not run into any coolers. Let's play good, continue to with our game, and let's bring this thing home. So I'll keep you guys updated, obviously. Let's go back into the hands. Let's run things up. Let's make something happen here. Here in level 17, we have made the final table. We survived it. Awesome. We're all in the money now, which is really nice. And here is pretty early into the final table here. And in level 17, we look down at Jack 10 of spades in middle position. And the player to my right, he's very limp happy. Played with him on an earlier table this tournament, and he just kind of likes to limp a lot. So he limps, and here I'm just gonna raise it up to 23K, and the button cold calls that in position, and the player to my right also calls. So we're gonna go multi-way, gonna see what the flop is. Hopefully we can flop something decent. Flop comes King Jack deuce, 2 hearts out there, and the player to my right checks. And here with middle pair, and there's a flush out there. I think I could probably bet this sometimes, but here in tournaments, let's just try to survive and use our showdown, and just use all our showdown equity to just kind of get to the river and just check it down here. Because obviously I'm not too comfortable with this hand, but I know it's good enough to take the showdown. I check for those reasons, and the button also checks as well, so we get to see a free turn. The turn is the King of Hearts, so very unlikely that someone has a king, but the hearts do get there, which is something that that we're gonna have to deal with. The player to my right just goes ahead and leads for 30K and actions onto me. Such a small sizing, and like realistically the question I've been thinking to myself while I was tanking was, is this ever a semi-bluff? Is he ever just doing this with a hand like, I don't know, ace deuce with like the ace of hearts or something like that? Seems really unlikely, and here I just don't think he would lead onto 2 opponents with a draw. I think he would just probably go into check call mode. So for those reasons, I decided to just let go my jack 10, and the button also folds. He shows, for fun, he shows ace 4 of hearts, so he did turn the nut flush. So that was a good fold on us. We keep an extra 30K that we probably could have dumped away previously, but we're playing a little bit better, and we get away from that one. So in level 18, we get into some interesting-ish spots here. I'm sitting at about 155K, and blinds are pretty massive. It's 5K, 10K, 10K. So we only got 15K, and I'm probably one of the shorter stacks in this final table right now. And the first hand of the level, we're in the big blind, which is gross. It's disgusting because we have to give out 20K of our stack. Very horrendous. And the action folds all the way to the button, and it folds all the way to the small blind actually. He completes and limps. I jam over to the top of him with pocket 9s, and he folds pretty quickly, so we accumulate some chips there. And then we get 2 back-to-back jams in position. I go ahead and open jam queen jack of clubs, and we don't get any callers. And probably like 2 hands after that, or the very next hand, we have king queen offsuit in late position, and we go ahead and jam that as well. No one calls. We pick up some more blinds, and we're back up to a stack of 200K. Level 19 now, we have about 230K. We're in the big blind. We look down at pocket jacks. An early position player, he's a pretty big stack, goes ahead and limps the small blind. The player to my right jams about 100K total. Here, in this spot, just going to have to re-jam it, get all the money in. Don't want to let this go 3 ways unless, you know, he wants to commit a stack as well. So I go ahead and jam, and the big stack, he obviously covers me, thinks about it for a little bit, and folds his pocket 5s. Let's flip and show what we got. He has ace queen offsuit, so we do got a flip going on. Let's try to hold, avoid some of his outs. Flop is pretty clean. It's 10, 9, 7 rainbow. The turn is pretty great for us. It's an 8, so he's only left with 2 outs, 2 of my jacks. The river's a 4, and we stack him there, and we are moving up the ladder. We're moving up the ladder for payouts, and we're looking pretty good. We're accumulating more chips. Next spot that we get into is pretty interesting here, let me tell ya. We are in the small blind, and we look down at pocket kings. We get a button who is a pretty big stack. Also, we're playing 6-handed, by the way. So also, shout out to PP Poker for letting me get this 6-handed experience, so I'm a little more comfortable with what to do. Anyways, this hand, we get the button limping. And here in the small blind, out of position, pocket kings, let's raise things up to 45K. On the little bit on the bigger side over the limper, but here, such a strong hand, let's raise it on the bigger side anyways. And we get a button who limped, he calls, so we're out of position. Flop comes, king 10-3, 2 diamonds and a heart out there. What an amazing flop. Wanted to play a little bit of pot control with kings out of position, but on this flop, yeah, we're going for it. I go ahead and lead really small, 35K, just trying to get his entire range in there. I think a 10 could call this. Draws obviously could call, and perhaps it could induce a bluff raise here sometimes against a more competent player like he is. And at the end of the day, he thinks and ends up just flatting here, making the call. The turn is the deuce of hearts, bringing the backdoor flush draw. And here, I'm not gonna say I'm short, but I basically have a pot-sized bet left in my stack. So here with top set, the nuts right now, let's go ahead and just jam. Put maximum pressure on this player if he has whatever it is. I mean, I don't really know. If he has a draw, he can call, he can fold. It doesn't really matter to me. I think I kind of want to call since I'm so ahead, but let's just polarize ourselves and go ahead and stick it in there. We go ahead and rip it all in, and he tanks for like 2-3 minutes, a pretty long time, and he ends up folding ace deuce of diamonds. So pretty interesting and gross spot to be in his shoes there. He said that he thought about raising on the flop, and that would have been a pretty nice scenario if he raised me there. But regardless, we take it down, a pretty decent sized pot, and that's a pretty gross spot for him, but luckily to be on our side on that one. This spot here, we're sitting 5-handed now. We have king 9 of clubs under the gun. Pretty decent hand for us to raise. So we go ahead and open things up to 35K. We get the big blind player, the player from last hand. He's a pretty competent player as well. He decides to just flat. And let's go in position to a flop. The flop comes 5-5-6 rainbow. He checks to me, and such a disgusting board. I don't think I can ever just try to c-bet and bluff at this. So I decided to just go ahead and check it back, and we're gonna go to a turn, which is the 10 of clubs, bring us the backdoor flush draw, and he goes ahead and leads for 35K. Pretty good price, obviously just not going anywhere with the added equity to the draw that we got. So I go ahead and make the call, and we're going to a river. The river is the queen of clubs. My goodness, we are running good. And he goes ahead and bets once again for 60K. Now in this spot, how much value do we really want to have? Here, I pick a really weird sizing. I went for a bigger sizing than average, but I didn't jam. I didn't really know how much I had in my stack at the time, but I just set out a number, and I looked back and I was like, oh, I probably could have just jammed this spot. Regardless, I didn't really. We're sitting pretty deep, so he also we had pretty similar stack sizes. So I go ahead and raise to 250K. As I was counting out the 250K, I realized I literally had, I think, 80K behind. So that's pretty insignificant for the blind levels right now. But it's big enough where I could probably seem a little more polarized once again, putting this player into a pretty tough spot. And I do not even joke. He goes ahead and tanks for maybe 5 minutes. We're well into the break now at this point while he's tanking. And at this point, I'm hoping for a call now after he's thinking for such a long time. At the end of the day, he goes ahead and rips it all in. He announces all in, and we're not really going anywhere with a king high flush. Even on a paired board, we're really not too afraid of that because he tanked for so long. I call. He shows over pocket aces with the ace of clubs, and we take it down with the second nut flush. So really big pot. We ended up actually stacking him, and we now have a pile of chips. Okay, quick little update here. Break number 4. We're sitting with an overwhelming high amount. We are sitting with an overwhelming. Shout out to Amelia. We are sitting with an overwhelming chip lead. Yeah, so we're gonna see how things go. I don't have that much time to talk right now because there's only a couple minutes left on break. There's a couple things I need to do. To people who have been following me along on Instagram, the journey, shout out to everyone that follows me on Instagram. If you haven't already, follow me on Instagram. It's Rampage Poker. Yeah, this is a terrible angle because, yeah, this is terrible. But anyways, we're gonna see how things go. There's 5 people left. Let's actually go and try and make this thing happen and win this thing, or win a majority of the money. Anyways, let's do it. Let's run things up. Wish me luck. After that break, here in level 20 something, blinds are 10K, 20K, 20K. We're sitting at about 900,000 chips actually, and it's exactly 50% of the total chips in play. And we're playing 4-handed, so heavy favorite to win this thing. And here in this spot, next spot that we're playing 4-handed, we lose a flip here, not really a flip, but we lose to a 135K jam with these blind levels, so like 6, 7 bigs. He had ace king suited. I called with king 7 suited, and I did flop a flush draw. I know it's a really loose call, but when I'm sitting with 900K, with all of that, I guess, money and equity in play in terms of just eliminating him, I called the king 7, flopped a flush draw, bricked it out, and now we're just chipping down a little bit. Next spot, blinds are 15, 30K, 30K, and we've got about 650,000 chips in play. We are in the small blind with ace 5 offsuit. I decide to go ahead and open jam against the big blind, who has about 250K. Ace high is pretty decent here. Jam, play some higher equity stuff, and let's see what happens. He goes ahead and makes the call with king jack offsuit, so we're on to a flip. The flop is something. We flop a pair of 5s, middle pair, and with 2 diamonds out there, and he ends up going runner diamonds for the king high flush. So that was pretty tough, unfortunately. In between all of this happening, I'm blinded down to 300K, and it's still 4 of us. We're still grinding it out, and the blinds are really significant. At the end of the day, we ended up agreeing on an $1,800 chop between us 4 players, and the top player gets a prize of $1,100 on top. makes things a little more balanced, and I'm very much okay with that because I did start off with half the chips, and now I only will have 1/6 of the chips. Happy to take the kind of agreed upon chop of 1800 for everyone, and then play for 1100 up top. So that was pretty nice to have that agreed upon there, and then we just play until we run to this spot with A7 off suit. We only have about 350k in front of us. We go ahead and call a jam from like Button, I think, or whoever it was, and we have we're up against Queen 10 of spades, and well, he flops an open-ender, but then he goes runner spades, so we lose that one. We are out in 4th place. Onto the outro. All right, we made it. We made it in the car. We're out of the tournament. We busted in 4th place. Unfortunate that we didn't win it, because we went into, after that break, after we talked to you guys, we literally had half the chips. We counted and had literally half the chips. Out of the 1.8 million chips in play, I had 900k and some. And we just, I don't know, just didn't, the cards did not go in our favor. But luckily we did agree to chop on something, and not even chop, or at least even out the payout structure. And it's crazy because that was agreed upon when I had 300k in my stack. So definitely got a really great price for that. So I'm really happy. I chipped from 900k to 300k, and then we talked about chopping, or at least we agreed upon something. And yeah, so that was awesome. So basically, I don't know, basically how the structure worked: 2nd and 4th place, so everybody got 1800 flat, and then the 1st place got an extra 1100 on top of that. So basically playing to win, and that was at least something to play for, and I really liked that structure for sure. So we played for a total of 8 hours today. Oh my god, I don't even know how many hands, or 8.5 hours. It's like 9 o'clock right now. Tournament started at 12. Anyways, I don't know how many hands I've gone over. It's probably a lot, and this video is probably really long. I want to make this all in one video. So yeah, thank you guys so much for following along. That was crazy. I finally got to document a cash for you guys. I mean, I played way too many tournaments to not document a cash. So I'm glad out of this bender, we got to finish it out in the 4th one. I think we're gonna go back to cash, but hey, we know that we can definitely get there to the final table with some run good, because we ran pretty good those two hands before the break with the pocket kings and the king 9. We ran pretty good and chipped up a good amount. So very happy with everything overall. Unfortunately, I couldn't close it out. Obviously, I'm super greedy and I wanted to win it all, but I can't complain about $1,800 cash as well. So that helps a ton. That really helps a ton. You have no idea. I've lost less than that combined the past 2 months. In the month of September and October, I've lost less than 1,800, but it definitely helps a lot in terms of getting me back to the black and the green. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Feel free, follow me on Instagram. I post all this stuff. Everyone that does follow me on Instagram got to see the journey along the way real time. Appreciate all of you guys, and shout out to everyone for sending me some super nice and kind messages, and thanks for the support. Anyways, we're ending this video now because it's way too long. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Back to the cash game. Also, if you're new, if you're still here, subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate it. That'd be super dope. Anyways, let's get some food in me. Let's go home and let's get into the next video where we can run it up in cash. Anyways, see you guys.